Anyway, it's Zen to 8 time. Now, we've heard already this morning how Sharma Women's Centre have just won a Charity of the Year award. This is for the amazing work they've been doing in empowering women in Leicester, but they've got these Corona comrades that were supporting women who needed it during lockdown. Now, while I was finding out about this, one of the top team who's been supporting them is mindfulness coach and hypnotherapist Sadaf Akhtar. Sadaf only started her business in lockdown.
Basically, I've worked in mental health arena for probably about 7-8 years in varying capacities. So when lockdown hit, obviously we had that transition of moving, working from home and, beginning to reassess our lives. For me, it was a time of epiphany moment in my life, because what I noticed was the amount of anxiety, the increase in anxiety with people from all backgrounds, especially our young people. So then I had a calling, I'll put it that way. Some clients I've worked with in the past were contacting me over Facebook trying to find me and say, I'm really struggling right now, Sadaf. So it's, to me, when it happened more than once, I thought, okay, that's my calling back. So I decided to set up Resonate Success, my mental wellbeing training and therapy business. So I offer clinical hypnotherapy, which is solution focused. I also offer mindset coaching. I'm a transformation coach, so we work in the present moment to get people where they need to be. I absolutely love it because I'm currently working with clients ranging from 15 all the way up to 60 from all different backgrounds. And what I do, I provide that safe space for people to really find who they are again, because we get lost in that storm of life, and my job is to simply facilitate that space to bring out the best in people, and I absolutely love it. I do guided meditations. I'm actually designing something called Positive Mind Flow, and it's a very integrative approach. So I would love to give anyone's interested a free taster session. I have my own practice, so I'm sure if anybody's interested, they're more than welcome. In business, I work with businesses too. But I'm currently working with Sharma to help them develop their mindfulness program, and Sharma is a great place to help people to get the women to get where they need to be.
Why is it that it seems to me that we're discovering mindfulness and trying to be present more so now than ever before? I certainly talk about it more in conversation with people on the radio, and I wonder why it is now that we're having that conversation. What's going on in our world that I suppose it's thrown up that we need to focus on this more?
That's a really good question, and I think it's a valid question. From my personal opinion, my opinion on this is that with this global pandemic, we've been affected as humanity, as a community, a world community, not just locally, regionally, nationally. We have been impacted by this COVID, by the lockdown, and that's caused a massive ripple of anxiety, of questioning, of searching, and also in terms of employers. There's a massive duty of care now on employers, not just look after that health and safety, look after the mental well-being of organisations. For example, I've recently worked with the Warning Zone to implement a mindfulness and well-being program that is actually centred at the heart of the organisation. So it's not just a tick box exercise. I adapt it to meet the needs of the organisation. But anxiety is on the increase, and the thing that I worry about, all I'm concerned about, is the challenges post-pandemic. I believe there's going to be a massive fallout in terms of relationships, in terms of anxiety, stress, and things like that. So the way in which I work, I've anticipated that, so I want to be prepared to help people. I'm here and I'm ready to help people get where they need to be.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but for me, I think with the pandemic, I found that decisions were made for you that at the time you didn't have choice about. And actually, there's parts of our life we probably could all put our hands up to say we were allowing to happen or sleepwalking. And actually, this gave us time to stop and reflect. Now, are there any sort of surefire things that people can take away with them this morning, things they can do as they wake up to go about their daily lives that are going to help them, things that that are tried and tested that you've told before?
Absolutely. There's many things people can do, but let's bring it right back to basics. So in terms of getting out of that primitive emotional brain where we produce stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline, that keeps us in that fight, flight, freeze state for long, and that's what's happening. People are in that lower part of the brain. So what we need to do to get into the prefrontal cortex, into the intellectual mind, where we begin to produce serotonin, dopamine, those feel-good, happy neurochemicals, all we need to do is simply stop, breathe and relax. So putting your self-care first, so waking up in the morning, before you do anything, just find a few things, 3 things or 5 things that you're grateful for. It doesn't matter how big, it does not matter how small, even if it's that you've woken up, the sun's shining, you're alive, or anything, or that you have a family, or you have a roof over your head, for instance. So bringing it back, focusing on what you have and not what you don't have, because often we're lost in worrying about the past and worrying about the future. But what is important is where we are right now in the present moment, because this is where the magic and the transformation happens.
I love that. That's fantastic. You mentioned before we started chatting on the radio about NLP.
Yes.
What exactly is that?
So NLP is a technique. It's a neuro-linguistic programming. I know it sounds really, what's all that about? No.
Is that tapping thing on and stuff that, what's his name, Matthew McConaughey does in Wolf of Wall Street?
Well, what it is, tapping is an emotional freedom technique. So tapping our body on certain parts, it releases, we often hold our emotions, and they manifest in our body sometimes. So hence we get a tight stomach or a dry throat, or we find it difficult to breathe sometimes. So that's a different technique. So NLP is about creating new neural pathways in the brain. So letting go of previous negative patterns of behavior and beginning to create new patterns of behavior in the brain, literally through the sessions. The moment a person starts, so I will use NLP techniques. I will use, and because they're all based on the present and bringing out the best of a person, that aligns very nicely with solution-focused hypnotherapy, with all different therapies I use. I integrate, and I believe we're so unique, we need to adapt to the person and see through the eyes of the person. So I'm very passionate about that. And just come and give it a try.
I instantly feel better just talking to you.
Lovely.
I'd just done the show and everything, and I'd come away to find out what's going on, and you've got everything you've been up and doing and early, and then I completely forgot about all of that just by our chat.
Brilliant. So that's just a little taster there. So if you want to really relax the mind and let go, you know where I am.
Yep, you know where Sadaf is. You can actually email me and I'll put you in touch with her, jimmy@bbc.co.uk. All right, just out of your news at 8 o'clock.